Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Big 12 Mafia Show here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am your special host for the evening, Moen, filling in for Bomber, joined by Wild Ute
Hey.
and the other Gygax, Daniel Gygax. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Great.
Excellent.
Great. Want to thank everybody for coming in. We're going to talk a little bit about Mountain West realignment, Pac-12 realignment, AAC realignment, basically the whole gamut of G League realignment at this point, because I think everybody's getting realigned at the end of this thing. So we will talk about that. We're going to give you some Big 12 grades from last week, and we'll be taking your comments. So let's hear it. What do you got to start with?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do some grades here for the Big 12 games. And guys, there are some Fs. There are some Fs. There's some As. Daniel, your Mountaineers, hopefully scored pretty well. We'll find out, huh? That's going to come later on in the segment. But first off, let's just start off. Let's open this discussion here. Like the headline of this show is the Pac-12 and Mountain West locked in a life and death battle, guys. Seriously, with what's going on right now over the last couple days, I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like it. Like schools just jumping off the Mountain West ship. Schools considering going from the AAC to the Pac-12. This is crazy. It really is like rats jumping left and right or not jumping. This is honestly the most wild circumstance ever. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it, though. Danny, what do you think about this? What's going on right now with the Mountain West?
Well, I can see what the Pac-12 is doing. They're trying to just grab the best of the best out there. The AAC schools that said there might have been like the rumor with the Mountain West paying Air Force, and there was a rumor on UNLV, but UNLV said, well, we'll get back to you on that. Kind of shocked that some of the AAC, almost said AAU, AAC schools didn't say yes, especially Tulane, Memphis. I can understand why they said no. I mean, New Orleans and Memphis, Tennessee, to fly out to Corvallis, Pullman, Fresno. That's a significant jump in travel budget, and
it's a huge jump.
And nobody knows how much they're going to get paid. No one knows. And now let's tack on the fact that they're now in court again. Bilbao Hours are undefeated. They're here in California with the Mountain West suing the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is saying, okay, we want these teams. Mountain West are saying, no. You said that you wouldn't take them right here on a piece of paper right here. And to take the teams, to take those five, this was on, I can't remember if it was Dellinger or Pat 40. One of them said that to take those five schools, it would cost somewhere in the 50 range in just the fee going to the Mountain West.
Exactly.
And that's the reason why the Pac-12 is saying, wait a second, we don't want to pay $50 million. I get it. And nobody knows how big that war chest is. They say it's big, but nobody knows the exact number that they're sitting on.
Like, okay, so speaking of the war chest, okay, so if you're an Oregon State and a Wazoo supporter, fan, whatever, with all the possibilities of using the war chest in different fun ways that we've all speculated on over the last 6 months, and at the end of the day, you're covering Mountain West fees, exit fees, possibly with the war chest. That's got to be pretty dang disappointing. Like, seriously, like, I mean, there are all these creative solutions, right? Bring it over to the Big 12, bring the Pac-12 networks over, and everything is going to be great. We can make it work, or take it or wait till the ACC ruptures and everything, and then you might have a landing spot. But then has this really shook out? I mean, I just got to be just honest that that's really sucky right now.
Well, they're also looking long term. So they're saying, okay, how about we be the best G5 school, or G6 as it's going to level out. We're going to be the best G6 school. We're going to get the best of the best that are out there. And like I said, nobody knows how much Air Force got paid. Rumor is $10 million, give or take. There's a rumor on $10 million going to UNLV. Nobody exactly knows for sure. But if you are looking at trying way to be viable and survive, you've got to make those calls. You've got to say, this is the pot of money that we have. This is what we're going to spend. This is our survival. And that's all it comes down to. Will the Pac-12 still be here in 2026?
Yes. Well, Mona, what do you think about this?
I think it's Pac the Ripper. I don't want to hear anything more from Oregon State or Washington State fans.
Oh,
You are no longer the victim. You have now went out and knifed a fellow conference.
gosh.
You can't just go to you can't just go to a judge and say, we don't think this is fair because we didn't have the upper hand last time. That's basically their legal argument, was that they didn't have any leverage, so that contract they signed should not be enforced. Meanwhile, this is the same two schools that said that the contract that the rest of the Pac-12 at the time were part of should be enforced. It seems a little, hypocritical, some might say. Some might just, say that we'll call it what it is. You went and killed the Mountain West. You carved the heart out of the Mountain West. You left them for dead. You tried to go get AAC schools. You couldn't pull off that coup. So then you went back to these Mountain West schools and said, we didn't want you before, but now that we need you, please come along. And you got Utah State. Utah State did come along after the fact. And, I think Utah State might be the Junius Brutus of this situation,
Perhaps.
They really stuck the knife in the Mountain West. Now we're still waiting on UNLV. And we've been waiting since this morning. I was on Greg's show this morning, and I've been waiting. I've been checking the Twitter sphere. Still haven't heard from UNLV, but they were on Las Vegas time. So
Are they in a
So
hurry
that
to
was-
make a decision, though? Really?
I
why
think-
are they in a hurry?
yeah, just let them keep bidding. Eventually UNLV will
Sure.
probably get like $50 million to pick one. So
No,
So you're saying right here that the victim is being the victimizer now.
that's right.
That's where we've gone from the victim to the victimizer. We've heard this story before, Oregon State and Wazoo. I have a little bit different narrative, though. I don't know if you saw the complaint that the Pac-12 issued today about the Mountain West, but that came out today, and it basically said this. It said that this year for the football games, for 6 Mountain West football games between the Pac-2 and the Mountain West, it was going to cost the Pac-2 roughly $14 million. So they're paying money to get those football games, right? The Pac-2 is paying the Mountain West to get those football games. They're trying to negotiate into next year to extend that another year. And the Mountain West asked for $30 million instead of $14 million. So the Mountain West basically doubled up for no reason, and they're just trying to basically milk that war chest from the Pac-2. So it's like, really? Like, what's going on here? Like, basically, they just give them a huge bird saying, hey, you have to double your payments just to play 6 games versus us. These are the Mountain West teams, right? Like these aren't like guaranteed wins or anything, right? Like, I have a hard time seeing that the Pac-2 is just a villain in the story, given that information too. There's a lot of villains here. There's a lot of crap going on, and it's just not a black and white scenario. So give the Pac-2 a break, Moan. Give them a break.
I'm not giving them any break. Welcome to the club. You've killed a conference.
not yet.
Not yet, but you've tried. You've made, the Big Ten didn't technically kill the Pac. They just took USC and UCLA and then Oregon and Washington. So
The one conference I thought that was about ready to go away was whenever Conference USA, they had, Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. They were talking to the MAC. They just did FCS fill-ups is what they did for Conference USA. I mean, you look at what they have there, it's not good. Everybody's saying, hey, UTEP might be a part of this Pac-12 bit, but doesn't solve their problem with getting in Central Time Zone. El Paso is Mountain.
All right. Well, before we get too far into the shoot, we got to do some shout outs here, and we will continue to debate this. So stick around. This will be an exciting show. Ryan Willie was the first in the chat. He says, "Hi, CFM. Good to see you, Ryan Willie." Evil
Cheers.
Badger. Timothy Green says, "I'd like to see all conferences survive and prosper. It's good for the entirety of college sports in general."
Look, okay, so I get that, and like I feel like such a jerk saying this, and maybe I am in this perspective. It just is what it is. But like it's just Darwinian, guys. We're in Darwin's world here with college athletics, with realignment. It comes from the top of the house, and then that wave comes and impacts everybody. And like there's no getting the cat out of the bag. Like it's absolutely done. We're in this world and stuff where it would be great if everyone got paid the same and everything else. But I just think that we need to change our mindset and quit kumbaya-ing and basically treat realignment more as war. Seriously, I think that's basically what it is. It's Darwinism. Like, hey, that's exactly what Utah State did. When Utah State made the decision to go to the Pac-12, which was a dang good decision, guys, for that program, they basically stabbed the back of the Mountain West. This is the Brutus. This is the Darwinian nature of the realignment that we see. So I think that, there's just it's all about your school. It's all about your president. It's all about the best case scenario for each school. And you could really care less about anybody else in this new realignment world. This is kind of how it's going.
I mean, you got to think of it this way. WVU was in the Big East. That fell apart completely. And they had to hitch any lifeboat that they could find. Their closest rival or closest conference member before the additions was Iowa State, 850 miles away in Ames, Iowa. And West Virginia's like, okay, hey, Timothy Green remembers that. It was like, hey, we'll fly to Texas. We'll fly to Oklahoma. We'll fly to Kansas. We don't care. We got to look for our survival. And that's what happened then. And that's what's happening now. Everybody's scrambling to try to figure out what's.
I think he froze up for a little bit. I'm going to jump in here with a super chat here from Cleveland Rocks.
Cleveland.
Thank you, Cleveland Rocks. Terrible weekend. K-State got smoked. Give them an F-. We will get to the grades eventually.
Man, you'll see it.
USC won. It was really crowded at Cedar Point. It's always crowded at Cedar Point. Browns suck. I would take the Browns over the Bengals any day of the week now. Watson is our quarterback. He is the worst contract in sports history. That's, I don't disagree with you there. It is the worst contract, but at least you've won a game. Cincinnati could not punch their way out of a wet paper bag at this point. So
and Burrow played good last night.
Yeah, but they don't have any defense. They let Bates and all these other defensive guys go in the offseason, and look what it gets them. And then Cleveland Rocks corrects himself. Sorry, I'm so angry. USC lost. So
it was a USC loss.
Yeah. So things just haven't been going Cleveland Rocks' way. We feel for you, Cleveland Rocks. I will go ahead. You gave us a super chat. I'll play you a little music here.
They've been sucking you, and you're sick of it. I get it.
That's Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh gosh.
Membership re-upped for 6 months. If the Illini upset Penn State, are they a playoff seed?
Let's give this man his due, Moan. Illini Ted, been hanging in here. He's been a great part of the community for as long as this channel's been around, almost 6-month membership. Seriously, you deserve kudos. The Illini deserve kudos, getting big wins, tough defense. Bert. You guys, I hope you guys beat Penn State. I hope you get in the playoffs. I hope you freaking win the national championship if the Utes can. Seriously. Make it the Illini or the Utes. But seriously, you deserve kudos, 100%. Everyone's been sleeping on them all freaking offseason long. We dogged them, put them low in the Big Ten polls and everything, and they're actually punching everybody in the freaking face. So awesome job. I love it. So congratulations, Illini Ted.
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit on the Big Ten Mafia show last night, whether Illini, the Indiana Hoosiers, these might be the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, undefeated. All of them are undefeated. They might be the new class of the Big Ten. All right, let me get back to my spot here. where it was. Buckshot Kid's in the house. Good to see you, Buckshot Kid. Haven't seen you in a bit. Friends call me Sean. Mountain West only needs 4 to stop resolution. That's a lot of exit fees and poaching fees to split up. Add North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Sam Houston, and Tarleton. Rock on with your bounty. I just want to bring this up here. You got to remember, for FCS schools to move up now, it is a $5 million fee. It went from $5,000 to $5 million. So that's $10 million to get some of these FCS programs to move up, guys.
And Missouri State and Delaware just paid the money.
Yeah.
So man, that's a tough ad. I mean,
well, yeah,
North Dakota State. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, let's look long term. You're going to get $1 million and change just in CFP money. So spend $5 million now, and a couple of years down the road, hey, look at how much money we're sitting on.
Sheep in Wolf's Clothing says, not me, consolidate, relegate, and destroy. This man chose violence. Caleb Ramirez is in the house. He says, what's up, everyone?
Here's the thing is, like, Daniel's been through this. I've been through this.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia's been realigned in recent history. Utah's been realigned in recent history. So we have a perspective of being the realigned folks and everything, where we understand that it's war and everything. It is like, it is a battle. It's war. If you're Ohio State and Michigan and USC, you call your shots. That's great and everything. But for everybody else, it's a freaking battle for survival and relevance. And that's what we need to see it as. That's what's going on in the Pac-12 and the Mountain West and the AAC and the Big 12. Everything is just battling for supremacy to see who's the third best conference for the ACC, at least in Big 12's sake. So that's the world we're living in.
That's how WVU end up getting flights to Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa. Hey, guess what? You got to survive. You got to stay relevant.
Ryan Willie, this man has been a member for 9 months. Thank you, Ryan Willie. He says, expecting to get boat raced, but hoping for a miracle versus USC. I think Michigan gave you the blueprint for that. Pressure the quarterback and run the ball for 250 some yards, and you guys should be fine.
Run it down their freaking throats.
I thought the Badgers were going to, look better against Alabama than what they did. So
I think if Tyler Van Dyke had stayed in there, he had a little more mobility than their other quarterback. I think they might have done a little better, but
yeah.
See. Earl Carr is in the house, another Cougar. Sup, CFB fam? Did you see the Pac-12 filed suit? Yeah, we were just talking about how nice that was of the Pac-12 to file suit and claim anti-competitive measures. They must really like the legal system. So
they love it.
All we've got in college football anymore are legal disputes and football games. So
what's wrong with us?
Oh, wait a second. There's another thing I want to be. I want to be a coach that got fired. That's it. I want to have that job too.
That severance pay. Severance pay might be good. Neil Brown. Hey, Neil Brown survived another week, so there you go.
True, and that's maybe Timothy Green might remember. It's like $18 million to buy out his contract before the end of the year, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that's 7-5 again, 6-6. Hey.
Meanwhile, Mac Brown quits on Saturday night and he's back at work on Sunday morning. So,
George Costanza.
Yeah, just pretend like you never said you were leaving.
Yeah.
Stormy Cyclone, member for 6 months. Thank you, Stormy Cyclone. I owe some sound effects here. Let's get a little Drunk Joe in there.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
Let's remind people these are student athletes.
Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
Are you nervous about the BYU game?
So, Stormy, hope the harvest is going well. I know that you're in the season right now, so hopefully kudos to everything and all that's going well. But I'd like to answer the question here. Am I nervous about the BYU game? Rivalry games are always weird and everything. You acknowledge that, but you can't be nervous going into those. You're just focused and ready to, battle. And I think Utah and BYU are both going to bring it. It's going to be a physical football game and an absolute war on the football field. So it's going to be much watch TV. So not nervous, just excited about it.
Illini Ted's in the house. We already said kudos to Illini Ted and the Fighting Birds. Daniel Kopch is in the house. If you want to blame greed and Oklahoma and Texas for some madness, I say blame Notre Dame, but that's just me. Shonsky's in the house. Good evening, everyone. Shonsky's still on a high from that big win by BYU over Kansas State.
You're going to like the grade, Shonsky. You're going to like the grades a lot.
Meanwhile, Antoine Code says ASU gets an F. Hey, College Football Mafia.
Oh, man. Brutal.
That was not good.
Yeah. Town Hawk says this is the week Kansas turns it around.
Yeah, I think they got TCU at Arrowhead. You gotta win that game, KU.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. After the beating that TCU just took, I think you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Veit, the Ohio Bobcat, hailing from Athens, Ohio. Hey, guys. Nice to see you, Daniel Gygax.
Thank you, Stephen.
AMAC's in the house. Good to see you, AMAC. Jeff Morgan, good show, guys. Just checking on you. Hey, we're hanging in there. We're waiting to hear word from Bomber, so once we have that, we will let you guys know.
Yep.
For once, not a clickbait title. Just kidding. Let's go, Gygax. Yes. You love that beaver and that cougar with the bloody knives. Illini Ted says Pac took a big swing and miss at making the best G5. Now it seems like they're taking plans D, E, and F. Kudos for the Mountain West Conference for fighting back. Scavin yes says hello, gentlemen. Go Big Red. I got my Nebraska hat in the post today, Scavin, so my Big Ten collection continues to grow.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
So this is my second Indiana hat. So
the community needs to know this. Like, we put a parlay down. Moan, Bomber, and I put a parlay down this last week.
Hold on. Let's talk about this because we talked about this on last night's show. Moen did not put down any parlay for Nate or you. Okay, let's be real clear about that. Moen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is Moen. Yes. Yeah, Moen put a parlay down.
Yes. Moen put a parlay down for himself. So now
the goal of Moen's parlay was to win. We had, slam dunk picks, including USC losing to Michigan, or Michigan losing to USC, which didn't happen, of course. But the idea of the parlay was to buy memberships for the community if we would have won. And what did we get, like 1 and 2 on the parlay?
Yeah. The Iowa went over. Actually, believe it or not, the last touchdown Michigan scored put us over. We were almost out of that parlay until that last touchdown by Michigan because we took the over.
How far are you from Wendover, Nevada?
About an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
So
that's the closest place for anybody in Utah to go gamble. There in Wendover, Utah. Wendover, Nevada.
Right
and
there.
That place is packed on weekends.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Tuesday nights, baby. $5 tables.
I think what we're going to do this week, guys, is Moen's going to put down a $20 bet. We're going to do a poll in the community we're going to do our picks on Friday. We'll put up everybody's picks, and we'll let you guys vote in the poll on whose picks we're going to play in a 6-leg parlay. So
we need to win this thing, guys.
Yeah. So we'll get there. We'll get one. Mountain West Conference needs to show ACC how to properly collapse. Damn, Clint.
I just don't want to die.
Man, these Beaver fans are violent.
What are you? Is big Clint? Like, what is going on? Like, what's the psyche right now of the Beaver fan? Are you happy? You got all these state schools. You got the best. You got Boise State in house, Fresno, Colorado State. It's a good haul. But like, what's your view of like how it's going right now? It's like kind of a heat check and everything. I want to know from Cougar fans, Washington State Cougar fans, and Oregon State fans. Like from a 1 to a 10, how you think like you're doing right now?
Well, Rumbling CD says it's time to finish off the Mountain West.
Darwinianism.
Town Hawk says Big Ten shouldn't toss the term hypocritical around. Hey, no, look. Hey, we respect you guys. At least you stepped up and stuck that blade in, we stuck the blade in when we took Oregon and Washington. So
yeah, but that was like 12 hours after Utah and the Arizona schools left too. So I do think it was kind of funny that the guy that runs the board for University of Arizona was there on the golf course. Didn't want to interrupt his golf game to vote.
Of course not.
Gee.
With the litigation that Utah State is under with Title IX, Utah State might not even have a football team in the future.
Hmm.
I think they'll have a football team, but there's definitely going to be some consequences coming down.
Yeah, I think Utah State, obviously going through some stuff right now, but the long-term perspective in the Pac-12 is actually brighter than ever for that university. This is seriously, like, locally, guys, Utah State, like on the radio and everything, Utah State doesn't typically get a lot of play. It's all about Utah and BYU. Everything's Utah BYU out here, but it's been all over the place. Utah State fans are pumped about it and everything, and the consensus is this is a slam dunk, no-brainer move. So I agree too, just to get more exposure for that university. So it's good for the Aggies long term.
Another super
It's all
chat here
about
from your
Weber
buddy.
State.
Yeah, Weber
Weber
State.
State.
A parlay, nothing to see here, entertainment purposes only, right, Moan? That's correct. That is absolutely correct. I was telling Daniel before the show, I actually signed up with FanDuel to place that parlay for myself and only myself, and they've sent me notifications 3 times a day for the last 5 or 6
No
days.
way.
Yeah,
They
bonus bets and deposit
They're like-
more money, and but like I said, if we listen, we'll do a poll. We'll pick whoever has the 8 best picks this Friday, and we'll do it as an 8-leg parlay with $10 down. That'll pay off like $1,800, and we can buy memberships for the community.
What's the probability that we win an 18 parlay though, Mon? Like,
It's gonna
the probability has got to be like what?
It depends on the picks, but it's going to be over 1,000 to 1. It's going to be it's going to be like
It's like
my
0.01%.
my 9-game parlay that I played this week was like 9,000 to 1. So better than 9,000 to 1. But thank you for the super chat, Earl. That'll help us. That'll help me place that parlay bet. That'll help me
Thank you.
place that parlay bet. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate all the super chats and all the support tonight. You guys are killing it. We got 80 people watching the stream, guys. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. We put out great shows lots of days during the week. We've got Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays covered. We even pop up on Wednesdays from time to time. If you're watching, could you give us a like? That helps us so much. If you're watching on demand, feel free to drop a comment in there. We respond back to the comments. So, and now Daniel will respond back to the comments too. So
Sure.
yeah, I'll put that responsibility on him.
I don't care. I'll do it.
All right, so we're going to get right into this. I don't understand why the Pac should be complaining about terms they agreed to when they scheduled playing versus the Mountain West team. Let's talk about this lawsuit.
Okay, so the terms that they agreed to for this season was, hey, we'll pay you $14 million. We'll get 6 games. $14 million, 6 games. And then upon the negotiation during the football season over the last month, the Mountain West decided they wanted to get big and say, hey, all of a sudden we'll cost you $14 million for this season. You want 6 games next season, it's going to be $30 million. Pac-12, because we know you have a war chest and we're trying to bleed you dry. That's at least what the complaint in the lawsuit from the Pac-12 said. So if that's the case, the Pac-12 was in a position where, like, this isn't sustainable anymore. We're paying $30 million to play 6 freaking games versus the Mountain West and everything. Forget this. We're just going to take their teams. And that's exactly what's happened. I mean, that's really to sum it up right there. It's like, forget this game. We're just going to eat you up. You try to milk us, we'll eat you. We'll drink you.
Right,
Drink milk.
but keep in mind, part of that scheduling agreement was no poaching. There is a poaching fee on there, and now the Pac is insisting that they should not have to pay it.
About $50 million for the 5-team anti-poaching thing.
So yeah, it's a good reminder. So some of the fees involved here. So there is an exit fee for every leaving member of the Mountain West. That's $17 million per school. So every single school that commits to going over to the Pac-12 is obligated to pay $17 million in exit fees. But under the legal disputes going on right now, the poaching fee that's being alleged is an additional $10 million that each school would have to pay. So essentially, in all fees for leaving the Mountain West and going to the Pac-12, it'd be $27 million, right?
Yes.
For $17 million. Sorry, $17 million, right?
But basically,
17, but you're right with the Mountain West school. Tack on another $10 million that has to be paid out by somebody, most likely the Pac-12, to make up for that amount.
Right. And the logic is that they should not be on the hook for that because they didn't have the upper hand in the negotiation.
Well, it's just because of price gouging, Moan.
Well,
Price
that's
gouge and everything. I mean, seriously, what in year over year, from year to year, how can you charge $14 million for 6 games and then ramp up to $30 million for 6 games? Like,
well, it's you get to
that's-
determine the market sets the price to you. They could go to another conference and ask for 6 games if they thought that price tag was too high.
How much is CW paying?
I
limited
don't
money.
know for sure.
I
Not a
don't
lot.
know. Maybe somebody in chat knows.
It's almost like it's just exposure, really. Like there's not.
I know
much
it's not a
from-
lot. I want to say it's like $6-7 million per school, something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it's not a lot.
Yeah.
I just think that there is something there. Like I think that there is an argument to be made based on the egregious price increase that you're ramping up and everything. And that's where the legal grounds are going to be battled, right? That's exactly what was in the complaint. Like you guys tried to price gouge us $30 million for 6 games, whereas I'm paying $14 million today. Like that's
Well,
ridiculous.
That's
I think
the
it's
market,
ridiculous.
It's the market rate. Steven brings up a great point here in the chat. The PAC agreed to the terms. If you didn't want those poaching fees, why did you agree to those terms?
Well, they agreed to the terms under the current 1-year contract, right? Where they're paying $14 million for 6 games this year, right? Under the scheduling agreement.
Yes.
And then they agreed to the terms for the poaching penalty for $10 million per school if you poach us this year under that agreement.
Yes. And then they poached 5 schools.
They did. They poached 5 schools, soon to be 6 when UNLV commits. And speaking of that, if anybody gets word that UNLV is already committed to going over to the PAC, let us know, please, and stuff so we can pull that up. That's going to happen. UNLV has no choice. The Mountain West is not sustainable. You cannot stay in the Mountain West Conference. You can't. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to get fat and happy, have $27 million, best case scenario and stuff, and that's going to sustain you for a long time? Look, guys, there's just no way. The Mountain West is done. The Mountain West is done. The Pac-12 will survive. And schools like Memphis, I think, made a huge error in not going over to the Pac-12 too. Seriously, like the Pac-12 has become that elite G5 level conference, and the American is just way behind that. It's not even close anymore.
They said the Big 12 was done. They said the ACC is done. Well, that's still in court. They said Conference USA was done. They said the Sun Belt was done. All these conferences still came up with a way to survive. The AAC is what was left over from the old Big East after Pitt, Syracuse, and WVU left. And they reformed. They grabbed a couple of schools. They said, hey, this is what we have. And they're still surviving, barely. So the only
that does happen. It's true.
Yeah.
But then you've got an example like the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC. They did not survive. They're no longer in existence. The WAC is gone forever. And really, more than that, the Mountain West, what is it going to be? Like the Mountain West today, what the Mountain West has been the last 25 years is a solid football conference with the mountain schools and some West Coast schools. And now you've lost everything. You don't really have anything anymore. Like Air Force is going to be your flag bearer. You had Boise State there. You had Fresno State. You had Colorado State, San Diego State. The Pac-12 last year, before it all ruptured, wanted San Diego State. And now you've really got nothing else. Like you can't build a conference that's going to get any type of media money off of Air Force and maybe North Dakota State. Like first,
Air
just
Force doesn't
reality.
need money. They don't. I see on here it says AAC getting Air Force, and that was a rumor that I heard yesterday morning from guys that I worked in the Air Force. AAC currently right now for football, they already have Army Navy. So, and let's get right down to it. The military academies, they don't need money. They have money. And they don't recruit the same way as everybody else does. They recruit for, hey, we need people to be officers in the United States military. Hey, this guy's a great linebacker. And that's just the way things work. But I heard that AAC Air Force thing yesterday from a guy that I trust because I worked with them for 30 years and it didn't happen. Or maybe it will happen. Maybe that's the reason why Air Force turned down the Pac-12. Who knows? That's the problem that you have. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen. You 17 Pac-12, you got a 17 Mountain West. You've got scrambling right now saying what's going to happen next. Conference commissioners that have no idea. There was a thing with Conference USA that on their whiteboard that they had whenever all these teams were leaving back in 2022 that wrote on trust nobody. And that's the way these conferences and a lot of these athletic directors have to be. Trust nobody.
Yeah, I would just bring this up. We're talking about gambling. As long as you got a chip and a chair, you're at the table. The Mountain West has a chip and a chair. They're owed $55 million in poaching fees. They're owed $17 million in exit fees. That's one hell of a chip. So if anything, they can be using that to leverage, hey, if you want us to go away, you've got to absorb all of us. You can't just absorb the high quality. You got to take some of the lower end brands as well. So as long as they've got 7, they're still on play here. So they still have a play. It's still a viable play in my opinion. We'll see. I think they probably should have just done this to begin with. Just merge the conferences, come up with some solution on the name. But there's still a play here for the Mountain West. So I'm going to choose to be on the side of the Mountain West here. Although I appreciate we lost Daniel again. Although I appreciate the killer instinct, I should say, of the Beavers and the Cougars. I can certainly appreciate that. We're all hypocrites now. So please stop, please stop. We're all hypocrites.
So you're saying total exit fees again. What were the numbers that you were throwing out?
I believe it was $17 million was the exit fee.
So
plus,
$17 million. In the
plus it's like 10 point something for the poaching fees.
So 27, best case scenario, 27 million per team leaving, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
So there's 5 teams that have left already. So that's $135 million best case scenario.
Yeah.
That's what 27 times by 5, right? So if you divide that by the 7 remaining schools, that's about $19 million per school.
Yeah.
So that's,
not bad.
2.5 years of payouts, revenue share
Or
payouts.
you could just, say, hey, well, everybody will take 15 million and we'll use some of the rest of that leftover money to go get new candidates. So, I mean, the Mountain West, as long as there's a chip, like I said, they got a chip and a chair, they can join in there. So, all right, you're back again, Daniel.
Yeah, I've got AT&T. Sorry about that.
I've got T-Mobile. We call it T-Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Where I live at, the subdivision I'm in, we don't have fiber.
Yeah.
So it is, and I'm right in the middle of town. And what the heck happened? And I got the worst internet in the world. My mom in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, has better internet than me.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and we'll do some Big 12 report cards here real quick. I want people to start thinking about this. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. I am going to put a poll. Who are we siding with here? Who is in the right and who is in the wrong?
It's the Pac-12's in the right. They just got raided, Moan. What do you mean?
We're going to put who is.
You're the bad guy. The Big Ten's the bad guy here. It's not the Pac-12. Come on.
Why didn't Utah stick with the Pac-12?
We had no choice.
Oh,
We needed
okay.
money.
Okay.
Isn't
it funny?
What the Big Ten did to
You
the
can't blame
Pac-12 was
Utah.
still egregious.
Yeah. You can't blame Utah. You can't blame anybody. They needed to go somewhere to play, to have their athletics. And Utah, just like West Virginia, hey, guess what? We have to play somewhere.
Yeah, they could have stuck it out with Oregon State and Washington State. They chose not to do that. I'm just saying.
All right, let me put that poll up.
Yeah, I got the poll up. Poll's up.
Okay.
We're going to see who the true
Report
villain
card
is
time,
here.
guys. You ready, Daniel? You ready, Moan?
I'm ready.
Ready, community? All right, there's some stinkers here. Seriously, stinkers. Let's jump into it, okay? So Big 12 report cards for week 4. Here we go. Let us jump into this. All right, here we go. So first off, Arizona Wildcats. Bye week, no rating. Makes sense. Bye week, no rating. Moving on here. So UCF Knights, bye as well. Hide that. There we go. Okay, now we get into it. Who is the excellent performers of the week? Before we jump in this, who do you think, Daniel? Who should get the most excellent grade?
Well, West Virginia 1 week was up 10, lost, and was down 11 and 1. So, I mean, that's one big swing. Hopefully WVU is getting a A minus. I mean, they did good, but not great. They overcame 11 points to win. But the following week they were up.
There are only 2 schools that deserve an A out of the Big 12 this week, and they're both
All right,
in
Moan,
Utah.
who are they?
They're both in Utah.
Both in Utah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Yep. Hey, our BYU community out there. Look at the grades that you've been putting up the last couple of weeks. Week 2, A minus. Week 3, B, which is good. And in week 4, this is the first A plus I've handed out. A plus. And you can see here at the bottom right what Vegas said the score was going to be before the game and what the actual score was. Vegas said K-State wins 28-21. BYU gets it done 38-9. Oh my gosh. That game blew me away. I've got a lot of relatives that are K-State fans. It was a hard to digest game for the K-State community, but it was a wake-up call too that the Cougars have a legit defense, an elite defense, and that is hard to win a night game. Lavelle Edwards, seriously, this BYU team's a lot better than we thought going into the season. They deserve the kudos. A plus performance, 100%.
And all this talk about Retzloff not being a good quarterback, wow, he put a clinic on.
Excellent job for BYU. A plus. That's the only A plus we'll have too. That's the first one for the season. All right. This one might be a little shocking too. I'm going to give the Cincinnati Bearcats an A grade here, which is a vast improvement over the last couple of weeks. You went 34-0 over Houston. Vegas said that game was supposed to be 26-22. Dang, 34-0. That's almost A plus worthy. Good job, Bearcats. Sorsby lit it up. This Bearcat team is a lot better than we had anticipated too. They deserve their kudos, and they absolutely hammered the freaking Houston Cougars. What do you think about that, Moan?
Eyeball score. You beat up on Houston. I think Houston's the worst team in the Big 12 conference. So,
34-0.
Yeah, you whooped up. Yeah, I mean, come on. So kick orphan kids, like Victorian orphan kids, like coughing up coal dust and stuff. I mean,
and Willie Fritz can coach. It's going to take probably about. I'd probably say year 3. He's going to have a really good team.
So congrats for Cincy for getting its first A grade of the season. Let's move on here. Iowa State. All right, this one might surprise some folks, but Iowa State had a bye week, an A performance. They played Arkansas State, who gave the Michigan Wolverines a freaking game the week before. The Michigan Wolverines were in it with Arkansas State. Vegas is like, dang, this Arkansas State team is probably pretty good. We're going to say Iowa State wins 36-17. That's what the betting markets ended at. Vegas says it. Actual 52-7, thumped. Cyclones, 52-7, big time win. What do you think about that, Daniel?
Arkansas State. You're supposed to beat Arkansas State by a lot. I can't remember Arkansas State's Sun Belt or Conference USA. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, yeah, you're supposed to win that by 52-7.
I mean, Vegas, it was 36-17. That's what the betting market said. They thought that it was going to be a fairly close game. I get what you're saying, though. I mean, you should crush a team like Arkansas State. I was impressed. And honestly, Iowa State is sneaky. Undefeated team in the Big 12. And, as a Ute fan, Ute supporter, that Iowa State-Utah game is going to be big time. big time. They're coming to Rice Eccles later this year, and that is a massive game, and that's a dang good football team. So good job, Cyclones. All right, here we go. So West Virginia didn't make the A grades. Let's see if they make the B grades, though, okay? Hopefully maybe a B, right? All right, then we got the Bs here. So we'll go over these ones quick, okay? Texas Tech takes care of Arizona State, 30-22. It was supposed to be 31-27. So really kind of right on par, exceeded expectations a little bit. It was a good win for Texas Tech, B grade. Utah, this might shock some folks. Look, backup quarterback came in. The betting markets did not consider that, but still, Utah was basically a half-point favorite at the end of the day. That ended as a 0.5-point favorite over Oklahoma State. The line ended that way. It was crazy. The line went up and down all week into game day. Utah gets it done with the final score of 22-19. Utah dominated the game, gave up a lot of points late. We're looking at final results. Utah performed good, but still 3 turnovers and stuff. I couldn't give Utah an A grade. Utah hasn't scored that well this season, but they've got a dang good football team. Still waiting to see that A performance from the Utes.
I can't believe I'm going to do this. I have to defend the Utes here. Oklahoma State scored, 15 points in the last 5 minutes of that game? They gave up garbage time touchdowns. So
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to give the Utes a little more credit. I know the score, it's one of those scores that you would look at it and go, wow, that was a really close game. It wasn't. Utah dominated Oklahoma State for 3.5 quarters. So I thought it was a dominant performance from the Utes. I had Oklahoma State picked. I think Utah is winning the Big 12 this year. I don't think anybody's going to come close to touching them, regardless of who the quarterback is.
So keep in mind, again, with the grades, you're grading based on your own success and expectations, not based on everybody else in the Big 12. So Utah's stacking up for what Utah's expected to do. Utah's expected to win that game by, Vegas says, basically a point, half point. And Utah wins by 3 points. That's the end result. Look, that's good performance and stuff. That's not exceeding. It's not BYU blowing out a team that was supposed to beat them. There's a difference. Like, that's just a reset of expectations. The Utes had a good game, but not a great game. They haven't played a great game this season. Serious. So Utah gets a B. All right, the Buffs. The baby Buffs here. The baby Buffs, a B- because of that. You guys watched that football game?
I didn't.
I just watched the highlight of the Hail Mary, the last second Hail Mary.
I saw that, yeah.
Nobody decided to cover.
Cordell Stewart has entered the building.
Oh my gosh, the Buffs get it done. They beat Baylor on a Hail Mary. The pass before was also a Hail Mary that they almost executed. What the freak is Baylor doing? Baylor blew this game so bad. Colorado, no business winning. They still got it done, and they actually beat the spread on this game. It's crazy. It's crazy how that goes sometimes. Look, hard to give them anything more than a B-. They could have got a C+ for this too, but hey, just felt a little generous there for the Buffs. So B- for the Buffs. All right.
Let you know, Dave Aranda might be on the hottest seat in the conference right now.
Yeah, I was going to say we were talking about Billy Napier, but Dave Aranda might not make the season.
Yeah, we'll cover Baylor. We'll touch on Baylor because the Baylor side is a different grade, and we need to talk about that too. So we're going to the C grades. Okay, so Daniel, we'll see where the West Virginia Mountaineers stack up here. I'll give you C+. Okay, C+. You guys. So C+, it's the best grade of the season for the Mountaineers. Okay, Vegas said Mountaineers win by a point. Yeah. Mountaineers get it done late, win by 4 points. The score was real close. Kansas scored 28, just like Vegas thought. West Virginia scored a few more points, come back late and everything. Look, it's a good win and everything, but you're kind of right there. What you expected? Like
so 2-2. It's 2-2 going into a bye. It could be a lot worse.
It could be
way worse. Or it could be a lot better. I mean, the way that West Virginia played that Pitt game past like the last 4.5 minutes, that was awful. My daughter was sitting there like didn't want to get near me over that. She was like,
"Oh no!"
Oh,
you got it done though, and like in Kansas, like hey, the grades are going to come out. Kansas is in a world of hurt, but look, the grades are getting better. C+. Once West Virginia gets to that A or B grade, you're going to beat some good teams. I like this West Virginia team still. Yeah. I have not given up on the Mountaineers. All right, so KU. On the other side of the coin right here, KU, they lost C- grade. Better than an F the week before. They put up an F versus UNLV. And man, the Jayhawks have struggled this year. Look, the score was pretty similar to what they were supposed to do. They scored 28. They lost by 4 instead of 1. It's a little bit below average. They had a chance to win the game. C-. West Virginia gets a C+. They get a C-. If it was the other way around and Kansas won, it would have been a C+. So Jayhawks have a lot to work on, though. 1-3, Leipold. Man, it's crazy.
They need to fire that OC. That OC just completely regrets that kid.
The previous OC is at Penn State now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys, what do you think about this grade? C- for the Pokes.
F.
F.
Again, there was like 15 points scored in the last 4.5 minutes. Bowman
Doesn't
was,
matter, though,
Bowman,
really?
Bowman was terrible as a quarterback. They were dominated the entirety of that football game.
How many yards did Ollie Gordon have? Not many.
I
can't
don't think he
Less
remember.
than
had that
50.
many.
Less than 50.
Less than 50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't remember. It's not a lot. I mean, and if you would have told me 2 weeks ago, I would sit there and say, Ollie Gordon, probably the third best running back to ever come out of Stillwater behind Barry Sanders and Thomas, and he looked awful.
I don't know what's going on with Ollie Gordon. I'm hoping that he gets it together. I think he will. He's a talented player. Doak Walker Award winner. Look, the Utes barely squeaked by this one, guys. Like, seriously, like at the end of the game, if an onside kick happens, if you stop Utah, you have a chance to win the football game. I know that the game was dominated for 3.5 quarters, but it's a 4-quarter game. Like, Utah needs to close that out. It shouldn't be that close. At the end of the day, Oklahoma State came back, showed some grit. Look, it's not a C-level performance. They lost the game, but I'm going to give them a C- because it's really kind of what the expectations were. Vegas said it was going to be Utah slightly win, and Utah did. So it's kind of – it ended up kind of where it should have gone. So C- for the Pokes. All right, here we go. All right, guys. Less than satisfactory. D+ for Arizona State. I know that some of our Arizona State community wanted an F for Arizona State, but I don't necessarily see it like that. Arizona State trailed in this game by 2 scores. They came back. They made it semi-good game and everything. It was supposed to be a close game, supposed to be a 4-point loss based on what Vegas said. So, yeah, you lost. It wasn't great. It was below what you expected to do, but not terribly. And the fact that you had some grit, you came back. It's a D+ performance.
I would say Arizona State's a total rebuild, but you're calling the contractor in to tear it down to the studs to rebuild that
I
program.
think they've got some
They've got
tools
something there. They've performed admirably. I would say it's an admirable performance this season. Now, Texas Tech, on the other hand, Texas Tech is, Texas Tech is one of those teams that started the season we thought the world of. That, I think it's been that way the last 2 seasons where we thought Texas Tech was going to go in there and show something, and they've just been, up until this game, not very good. So good on them for getting the win this week. But I'm not going to write Arizona State off completely, because I did that at the beginning of the season before seeing them play, and they've actually impressed me quite a bit. So I think Dillingham
Don't
is
write
the
them
man.
off. Don't write them off. It was a tough loss. You trailed early and stuff, but this team's growing and they're getting better and stuff. They're becoming the program that we always kind of thought they would be. I think that Arizona State in a few years is going to be a dog in the Big 12. We're starting to see the early signs of that. But D+ for this week. Close to even worse score for Baylor. I mean, it was really close to what Vegas thought at the end of the day, but the way you freaking lost this game, guys, 2 Hail Marys in a row. Seriously,
And
you give up 2 Hail Marys.
It's to the same side of the field. It was the exact same play. And
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Good on Deion Sanders, good on the Buffalo, the Buffaloes for going into Baylor and knocking them off. But this was a game that Baylor basically Munsoned. They completely Munsoned this game.
Dave Aranda, like I said, he was that seat's burning, and he's got to come up with something, or he's probably going to be getting a nice payout at the end of the year.
Agreed. Yeah, they have a huge game this week versus BYU. It's in Waco, In that game, I think Baylor actually is favored, but is close. That's almost a must-win for Orlando, right? Like if he loses that game and Baylor has a losing record, I think they're going to flip to a 2-3. Man, it's going to be hot as the sun. So I can't believe they lost this Colorado game though.
BYU's favorite.
Oh, BYU is favored.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yes.
Okay, well there we go. Maybe you can upset the Cougars in Waco, and I think he needs that one to turn that ship around. But really, one of the worst ways to lose I've seen in a long time. Missed a field goal with a couple minutes left. Gave up those 2 Hail Marys. Victory Cigar was the prevent defense that they were playing. There's Baylor victories. The prevent defense that Baylor was playing, Dave Aranda made mention after the game that was called Victory Cigar. How do you say that? I don't know. Like, what's going on there in Waco? Like,
Well, what if it was one of those cartoonish like Acme cigars that blows up when you light it?
it was, right? Oh man, that's rough. Okay, we'll move on. They turned it around. All right, here we go. Last couple. Fails. You have to hand out some Fs. All right, the first F is the Houston Cougars. We already talked about this. Cincinnati pounded you guys and everything. You looked terrible. You had good grades before based on expectations. You sucked it up. You're the worst team in the Big 12. F. All right, and then lastly here, the Kansas State Wildcats, after putting an A performance together versus the University of Arizona, get a flunk. The way that you lost, what happened at Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo is shocking still. It's shocking. You got punched in the mouth. You turned it over a bunch. I still can't believe this actually even happened. 38-9, BYU pounded you so bad. It's almost like a dream. It's just, I can't believe K-State played this bad. But like, hey, BYU deserves credit. They got it done, 38-9, a lot of turnovers. You really rattled Avery Johnson, and you might have shown a new way, a new cheat code versus Avery Johnson to play him because he's struggling throwing the ball downfield. He can dual threat, but really that throw game is a concern for K-State right now. F grade.
And who's K-State got next? I can't remember.
Oklahoma State.
Oh, so somebody's got to have a bounce back game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I believe K-State is favored in that by 4.5.
But that's it, guys. Those are the grades for the week.
All right.
Wait. Sorry. Oh, there's one more grade.
Okay. I was
one
trying
more
to save
grade
the
here.
TCU fans out there, but
Seriously, like maybe we shouldn't even flip to this. This is an F minus. The way that this shook out, the way that Sonny Dykes got ejected from the game, everything about this game, giving 66 points to SMU, you got to get better than that. You got to be better than that. It's a blight on the whole Big 12. This whole score. Seriously, I don't even want to see this anymore.
To be fair to Sonny Dykes, if I was my football team, I'd want to be ejected too. I would not want to watch.
I wasn't even paying attention to the game as much. Where like multiple games going on, and I knew SMU was putting on a clinic just by the way SMU Twitter was just going nuts.
Man.
Yeah. It was a beating. It was an absolute beating. I can't explain it. I actually flipped over to it at one point, just because I saw the score roll across there and it was like 50 something, and I was like, "What? That ain't right." And then, yeah, it was right, and I was like, "TCU? How do you go from being in the national title game 2 years ago to this?" Was that just Cinderella season? Is that just
No. This is what happened. It was the previous coach, Gary Patterson's team. Dykes had 1 year of recruiting. Gary Patterson had built a team with good recruits with like foundational defense. Like he's a dang good football coach, Gary Patterson. He comes in, Dykes takes over. He gets lucky. He wins a bunch of games with an experienced quarterback. And this is what you get with Sonny Dykes. This is his history. Like going back to Cal and everything. This is who he is. So it's not surprising to me.
Yeah, he lost Garrett Riley too, that offensive coordinator that went to Clemson. And meanwhile, Clemson is having a little bit of a revival here. They were the only Tiger team that actually covered this weekend. They blew the doors off of North Carolina State. So maybe Garrett Riley was really kind of the architect of that one season. So, yes, big F.
F minus. If
F
there's a
minus.
thing, I would give you an F minus if there was a thing. Okay, there we go, guys. Where's the
All
grades
right,
for week
let's-
4?
There we go. We talked about the Big 12 a little bit. I'm going to end this poll. We are going to see who the villain is here. According to the poll, 58% of people believe Pac-12 is the villain. 41% believe Mountain West is the villain. I don't know how Mountain West is a villain in its own demise.
Those are Beaver fans.
Yeah, did Mountain West just trip and fall on the knife 15 to 16 times? I mean, come on. But yeah, it looks like most people think Pac-12 was the villain. So Pac-12 is in the wrong. Mountain West was not. I guess maybe Mountain West was in the wrong by raising that rate on the games. So, but I have not checked Twitter yet. Let me check Twitter real quick to see if we have anything on UNLV.
Has UNLV committed to the Pac-12 yet? Because you guys, you got to think that's going to happen, right? That's going to happen.
Does not look like that has happened yet.
I don't see anything. No. Or
UNLV.
nothing.
That's a no-brainer for the Rebels jumping up to the Pac-12. They just have to untether themselves from these backpacks. These Wolfpack backpacks are heavy. They're heavy, man.
Well, then why doesn't the Pac-12, if they want UNLV that bad, take Nevada?
You don't do that. Just like the SEC is not going to take North Carolina State, or the Big Ten not going to take North Carolina State.
Okay.
North Carolina State's going to get comfy and cozy in the Big 12. That's where they belong.
I mean, this looks really bad for the Pac, though. They really swung for the fences and missed, and I don't think they planned on missing. I thought that was just going to be automatic, that Memphis, Tulane, USF, UTSA were just going to come over. I don't think they had a plan B until they said no, and then suddenly they scrambled. You know, it was just desperation mode. So
now here's the other question that brings up somebody saying, "Oh, let's do a merger." Blah blah blah. No. Just due to the fact, does San Jose State bring the needle up? Not really. New Mexico, like New Mexico, but are broadcasters lining up for Lobos football? No. Wyoming, as much as I love watching Wyoming games, especially whenever it's freezing cold out, are broadcasters lining up for the Cowboys? No. So it's now a matter of who's next. Like you just brought up UNR. I mean, UNR, they've got a pretty decent fan base up there, but how many people are watching them? Not a lot. UNLV, their biggest, the one thing that they have going for them, they're in a brand new building that they didn't have to pay a lot of money for to be in that brand new building. But Las Vegas isn't a college football market. Las Vegas is Las Vegas. It's an extension of Los Angeles, if you want to get right down to it, because it's primarily, what was it? I remember this with all the A's stuff. The sports broadcasters that they have in Las Vegas show Dodgers games and show Lakers games and show games out of Los Angeles. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, every candidate we're talking about is a dilutive candidate for the Pac-12. 100%. Every single one. The only one that wasn't going to be dilutive was going to be Memphis. Seriously, that was it. Like even San UTSA would have been dilutive. Maybe USF, Tulane, but like really, we're looking here. Everything is going to be dilutive to the media contract that you will sign. The
I am going to
perform,
disagree with you
projecting.
on that. I'm going to disagree with you on that. Those are 4 bigger markets than anything that the Pac-12 has. Memphis, New Orleans, Tampa, San Antonio. Those would be the 4 biggest markets in the Pac-12. They would be outside of San Diego, I believe.
Okay, let's look at San Antonio. San Antonio, who's the
Huge.
number one? Yeah, but who's the number one football team in San Antonio?
College-wise, it's probably University of Texas.
Yeah, and they're 90 miles north. Number 2 is A. Number 3 is probably UTSA. Number 4 is Texas State. Texas State's not that far north. So you're not even number 1 in your own market. In your own,
You're absolutely right, Daniel, but it's still a huge DMA. For a media deal,
it is big.
You want to get those DMAs up. So San Antonio is a huge DMA. Tampa's a huge DMA. New Orleans is a big DMA. I understand these teams might not be the number 1 choice on the dial there, but it still gets you into those markets. If you want to relaunch your Pac, well, you've still got the access to the Pac-12 network. That could be relaunched. We don't know what they're going to do with that, but if you're going to relaunch that, you need some markets. So
then why don't you call up San Jose State?
I think at some point they might. We're waiting to see if they get to that desperation mode yet.
I'll tell you right now, San Jose State means nothing out here. Cal and Stanford, every once in a while, you'll get people to pay attention. Nobody cares about Berkeley football. They're 20 miles that way from where I'm sitting right now. Nobody cares. That's the problem that you had with the Pac-12 network. They're in big markets, but nobody turned them on.
I think you need big DMAs. I think you need big DMAs.
I gotta say,
big DMA energy. Right. That's what I'm going to put. # big DMA energy.
We're not. This isn't the Big Ten. We're not talking about big brands and big DMAs here. We're talking about smaller schools and big DMAs where they're not the primary school, right? Like, and it does eyeballs on TV games matter, right? So, like, what's UTSA? So, week 0, week 1, they didn't have a Nielsen rated game, so they couldn't really record anything, right? Week 2, they were on ESPNU. They played Texas State. They had 24,000 viewers. 24,000 viewers. In week 3, they weren't recorded again. Like, so, yeah, they're in a big market, but nobody's watching them. Nobody's watching them.
So,
at all.
So why would the Pac-12 want them so badly if they weren't that desirable?
Because you have to backfill with something, right? Like, and it's like the law. It's the law of the bad.
And
right?
the most desirable candidates were Tampa, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Memphis, Tennessee.
I think you would go to Texas State still. Doesn't Texas State make sense?
I think UTSA makes a lot more sense. I think UTSA or UTEP makes more sense. Bigger markets.
Hold on.
San Marcos is a suburb of it's like halfway in between 2 cities in Texas.
Halfway between San Antonio and Austin.
Yeah.
Well,
so
actually,
there you go.
You know, UTSA did have a game versus Texas where they got almost 1.5 million. So there you go.
There you go. But more importantly, with getting into Texas, it gets you into that recruiting pipeline.
And El Paso is DMA size 89. Look, I just pulled it from the Nielsen website. So, and San Antonio, hold on. San Antonio was
pretty big. San Antonio
could be like 7 or 8.
31.
Really? That's San Antonio was the biggest.
That's
city
separate from the Austin.
No,
has its own DMA, right?
No, 7 is Atlanta.
Wow. Because I remember San Antonio was getting looks for an NFL team because of how big they were. So
yeah, you could thank Jerry Jones for saying no to that.
Yeah, you can. The Saints stayed put. Good for them. Good for them. Saints.
Raiders were going to move there too, and they were basically said, "Don't even think about it."
Guys, let's talk about this real quick. Okay, who are the best candidates for the Pac-12 at this moment? Okay, they're probably going with one. They'll probably add Gonzaga, as McMurphy reported yesterday. And I know folks try to discredit that. Gonzaga came out and said, we're not going to go. Yeah, right. Gonzaga is going to go to the Pac-12. I'm almost certain of that. So Gonzaga is going to be in as a basketball only member, but let's talk about full members, football members. You don't know if he's got to be number one, but who's the number two? Is it Air Force?
Are we talking about realistic members, or can we just name anybody?
Well, you can't
If
add
we're
Ohio State,
if we're
right?
talking realistic members, it's got to be somebody in Texas. It's got to either be Texas State, UTSA, or UTEP. Take your pick. You need to get in Texas. Big market, big recruiting area. You want to get those Texas kids into the new PAC conference, whatever it's going to be called, the Pac-12. You need to get kids from Texas in there. So
North
There
Texas.
you go. Then go for Texas State. Go for
North
UNLV
Texas
and Texas
is
State.
yeah. North Texas is Denton. That's the Dallas Metroplex.
yeah,
That's
I think you just got to get a school
sixth
from
largest
Texas.
market.
You might need to get 2 schools from Texas. I just think Texas is that big of a state, especially recruiting wise. I mean, Texas high school football is on a different level than almost every other state.
So you get UTEP maybe? North
Take
Texas,
maybe-
Texas State?
Texas State, UTEP. Yeah, that might work.
That might work. Yeah, and then try to go for UNLV still. But then you get into the state of Texas. Like you don't have to deal with the big exit fees and stuff from the AAC. Yeah, that might be a compromise right there, Mon.
Well, North Texas is AAC.
Oh, really? Yeah.
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 So, I mean, you're going to have to get in, but are they an AAC team that will come along? Because look, the AACC is not talking about backfilling with North Texas. Part of the reason these schools decided to stay in the AAC is they know the money they're getting. They know what it is. And there's still the opportunity that if Florida State and Clemson break free of the grasp of the ACC, they're going to have to backfill with somebody. And their top picks are going to be like USF, Tulane, and Memphis.
I was watching, I cannot remember the guy's name to save my life. It was a college, it was CBS radio podcast that they had. The guy was from Memphis, and he absolutely scorched the University of Memphis for saying no to the Pac-12. Absolutely scorched him, saying, guys, we're looking at survival. Let's get with the best of the rest. Let's get with the best G5 group that we can find. And yes, there's a lot of unknowns. Yes, there's a lot of questions. We don't know who all was in, but it's survival.
It was a horrible mistake for Memphis not to jump over the Pac-12.
I disagree. I disagree. I
Is
think
the
it was the best.
American stronger? You got
I
North
think
Texas
I think
there,
you're gonna
you
have
got-
I think you're gonna have a strong East Coast G5 and a strong West Coast G5. I think
This
that
is
was
Darwinism, though, Moan. There's not balance. This
right,
isn't
but
the
there's
yin and
there's
yang.
still
It's the heat, man.
there's cheetahs on the savannah and there's lions on the savannah. Nate, you know what I mean? It's you can have 2 big cats on the savannah. The Big Lubbock says Houston is the
Nice.
largest city in Texas and 4th largest in the nation. San Antonio is the 8th or 9th largest in the nation. So they must have a funny way of doing their DMA. So, but yeah, San Antonio is a big city. I know that.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is where Austin bleeds down into it, because Austin's like 90 miles north. So it might be one of those weird splits that they have with the DMA.
All right, we got about 15 minutes left here, guys. I want to get some comments in here. If your comment absolutely must be read, it's going to have to be a super chat, guys. I got about 50 of them starred here. So I'm going to go through these as quick as we can. So we will try not to get hung up on them too much, but obviously members' comments get preferential around here, and super chats all get read. So let's jump in here. Clint Moses, a Beavers fan, says, I like that Beavers logo. Look at it. He's got that red evil eye. It does effing suck, but I am happy with the teams we poached. AAC has already been gutted by the Big 12.
Yeah.
Sums it up.
Clay Johansson says, who does the panel want to win against Illinois and Penn State?
Illini.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Illinois.
I'm going to go. I want to see the Illini win. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think they will cover. So
Isn't it a 17.5 point spread?
it's 17 and a half. Yeah.
That is
Ooh.
that's absolutely crazy.
But it is at Penn State. So we'll see. Kansas versus TCU relegated to ESPN Plus. That's sad.
It happens. Happens all the time. You don't understand. ESPN Plus, they throw games on there all the time. I mean, even decent games, they'll throw it on there all the time. Just due to the fact that they'll come up with some crazy thing with a window with a SEC team. So just get used to it.
We absolutely need another partner in the Big 12, whether that's Turner or somebody else. Games on ESPN Plus stink. I hate it. I hate it. You've played there already once this year and stuff. It's like, I don't even get it. I'm not going to pay for ESPN Plus. I have to go to the sports bar to watch the dang game, right? So it's my thoughts on the matter.
Shonsky offers to make some parlays. He's been killing it. By all means, send me anything you can get because I didn't win any money this week. I lost money.
We need some luck, Shonsky.
Stephen Weiss says Mac Brown is Leslie Nielsen as a head coach. I wouldn't insult Leslie Nielsen that way. The man was a comedic genius. Got a super chat here from Nate Simons coming in from Iowa State land. North Texas and UTSA only just joined the AAC in 2023. They were added after the Big 12 took Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. Thank you for letting us know that, Nate. Much appreciated for the super chat as well. And I didn't actually get to play the song earlier. I hit the sound effect, so.
They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. You're sick of it, I get it. They've been sucking you, sucking you.
Thank you so much for the super
anti-milking
chat,
provision.
The AMP, the anti-milking provision in the contract. I like this contract, but I'd like to see an anti-milking provision. Illini Ted says, one leg, take the points on the Illini. 17.5 is a slap in the face. I agree with you. I would probably take that, but parlays pay better. Utah might be the hottest football state in the country right now between Utah, Utah State, and BYU. I think the Big 12's running through Utah right now, so.
Keep Jobson's right, though. I mean, really, like, it's gotten a lot of attention. And, like, the Big 12 for BYU, for Utah, is going to lift the exposure even to a different level. It seems like that was the talk before it. And as a Ute fan, I didn't know for a fact, but it seems like the conversation around Big 12 sports, Utah sports has grown, and the Aggies, of course, getting its invites massive and stuff. So really fun. High school football is improving in the state and stuff, so it's looking uppity up. So happy about it.
Stormy Cyclone says, take the Cyclones to cover Saturday against Houston. With our luck, I don't know that you want us to do that. Because somehow Houston will go in there and win 66-0.
Let's wait for Greg to do his picks.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to start betting the opposite of Greg.
Yeah.
CFB Plus says, how does that affect the exit fee clause? And you agreed to that deal.
Yeah.
And then Top Town Hawk comes back with contract under duress may not be enforceable would be an argument. I want to know what duress were you under? You had other conferences you could form scheduling agreements with. So,
yeah, but Mountain West might have been the only one to really. I mean, are they going to do one with the ACC?
Well, they could have done one
SEC,
with the Sun Belt. Could have done one with the Sun Belt. MAC. I'm sure there would have been a lot of MACtion out there.
Hey, Oregon State at Eastern Michigan.
There you go. What is stopping the AAC from getting other teams? They tried to get Air Force. They
might get Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They might still. I still haven't heard an update. Could somebody check Twitter and let me know if there's an update on UNLV?
Hold on.
Wazoo and Oregon State could have gone Indy. Okay. BYU was Indy for a long time. Mountain West raised the price because they wanted Washington State and Oregon State to join or do a reverse merger as well. Yeah. You know, they've got to look out for the best interest of their
Mountain West screwed the Pac-12 with that agreement. Like, seriously, don't act like they're the victims and everything. They deserve to
The Mountain West was asking for it, guys.
The Mountain West is the villain here for charging egregious prices, Moan.
How dare they
250% increase on a game versus Colorado State.
Illini Ted says by Memphis and the other three AAC AAC schools not moving. The Pac is not the de facto elite group of 6 leader. AAC is already in Texas and Florida for what it's worth.
I disagree. I mean, the best of all those brands is Boise State. Seriously, Boise State, Washington State, and Oregon State are on their own level. Then you can
And what
look
DMA
at
size is Boise?
Well, I'm just talking about like as far as perception.
I know.
Oregon State and Wazoo, obviously, everyone sees them still as a P5 level program, but Boise State was on that level too for a long time. So I think those are the top 3 brands that we're talking about, no doubt. And then you can talk about Memphis and everything else, but it's not close. The Pac-12 is definitely a better league than the AAC.
Smokestack, good to see a smokestack. If the Mountain West is so bad, why did the Pac-2 take their teams? Pac-2 is a glorified Mountain West. It's all Mountain West teams.
Well,
Rough. Rough comment. Oof.
I heard the same thing with the Big 12 and AAC comparisons.
Big 12 and the AAC comparisons. Yeah. We poached them. We poached Houston. We poached Cincy, UCF. So
Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. If Pac gets UNLV, I still think the AAC is in play within the next 2 years. Okay. We'll see.
I did too. That's a great comment right there, Clay. Like if UNLV goes, all of a sudden, like I think that you need to reconsider if you're Tulane in Memphis. Like USF, look, you're so far away. I get it. You're so dang far away. But Tulane, right there, if you go into Texas and you go into New Orleans, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Tulane should consider it.
Yeah, we lost Daniel there. He's going to jump in back before the show's over here, hopefully. The Mountain West can backfill with FCS teams. They're going to get lots of money. It's not over for them, It's not over till it's over.
Well, what's over? Like, it is like the current reality of your situation over? Yes. Like, you will not be the Mountain West that you have been. So you're going to go to a different level, like an FCS type level. That is going to be the new reality. If that's okay, and if you want to accept that, sure. That's what it is. But, like, you're not going to be the same.
Ryan Willie says Mountain West Commission worse than George K. I don't think anybody's as bad as George K. I think George K. was probably the worst commissioner in the history of commissioners ever on all things being commissioned, not just college football. Just in general, Ryan, he's just the worst commissioner ever. Thank you for the super chat. Let's give you your evil badger laugh.
Hey, you know what? I like George K. Okay. I like George K. I know he ruined the Pac-12, but I met him in the tailgate one time. And he gave me a slap on the back after I took a shot. So I thought that was really cool and stuff. Nice guy. Wife's a nice gal, too. I hope they're just living it up with all the money that the Pac-12 gave him and stuff. Great guy, George K. So good for you.
Nice guys finish last.
He does not finish in last, Moan. He is fine. He and Larry Scott own their own island somewhere. I think they're fine.
Greed is the bad guy. And now I like this comment from Clint Moses. Might be one of my favorite comments. Pac is saving the top MWC brands. We are saviors.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
I will cook on that one because that's the
Let
unique.
him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Pac-12 over here being the catcher in the rye, saving the Mountain West.
It's all about how you spin the narrative, Moan.
Tato and Hawk says, I bet Oregon State and Wazoo didn't want the Mountain West commissioner to run a merged conference. Probably right.
Maybe.
Yeah, they didn't want Cal or Stanford to run the Pac-12 either. Hypocrites.
They don't want anybody of Pac-12 to get any money.
Avery Johnson is on Fraud Watch.
Hey, be careful. Be careful. Be careful with that. Avery Johnson will be a Heisman contender next year, so don't bag on him too much. He had a bad game, but the guy is talented, dripping with talent. He'll get it.
Taton Hawk says West Virginia MVP was the OC and DC from Kansas. Brutal endgame management.
100% agree.
How many games are canceled this weekend because of the hurricane? I don't know that they've made that decision yet. I know that some games are still going on. They're still watching the projections from the storm, so we'll see. Thoughts and prayers to anybody who's in the path of that.
Tyndall Air Force Base was completely destroyed by Hurricane Michael. I want to say that was 2015-16. They rebuilt the base, and guess what's going to happen again? It's going to get destroyed again by another hurricane. I did my NCO Academy there.
I think we lost
Daniel
Daniel
froze out.
again. Moen, don't make clown statements. Utah, Arizona State, Arizona would never have been in the Big 12 if the Big wouldn't have taken all the top brands from the Pac-12. Listen, free pizza doctrine, people. USC and UCLA approached us. What were we going to do? Say no?
Yes.
Say no.
To your
Don't.
best
Don't.
friends, your bestie.
Oh, now they're best friends, just like when the Pac-12 signed an agreement with
The
the
Rose
Mountain
Bowl?
West. And
Remember when we used to hang out and party at the Rose Bowl, the Pac-12?
Oh, come
and
on,
Big
dude.
Ten?
Listen, you were only in the Pac-12 for what, 15 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like you were hanging out back then.
We went to the Rose Bowl party a lot in those 15
Well, you did. You
years.
just never had an after party. Hidden Hawaiian. These dudes backing Pac is stupid. You don't think they want to go for your throat next. Pac wants to delegitimize the Big 12 to bolster their rebranded Mountain West 2.0 G5. I hope I put enough contempt on that for you, Hidden Hawaiian.
I think you did. Great comment.
Line Ted, and where else does the Pac go aside from Mountain West territory to get schools? They're going to have to go to Coosa, the Fun Belt, and those places are going to have to go shopping too. So
You go Gonzaga. That should be the biggest no-brainer of all. Gonzaga does make sense for the Pac-12, like a ton of sense. Gonzaga is worth about $10 to $12 million a year in basketball, so they're paying for themselves. That's like a great brand you can add too. So I think Gonzaga is the best chip on the board, honestly, for the Pac-12. Then Moan, I don't know, we didn't talk about this, but you know that UConn, it was in discussions with the Pac-12 too. Serious. UConn, maybe UConn should go over to the Pac-12.
yeah, UConn told everybody that. Let's be honest here.
UConn.
This is another good comment. Pac-2 is no cloak, all daggers. Very
All
good,
dagger,
Jose.
baby. All freaking dagger. They're sick of it. They're so sick of it.
Antoine Codes, who's been a member for 8 months. Thank you, Antoine Codes. The Arizona Wildcats have never been to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
It's true. But the last time Arizona State was there, they lost to Ohio State. So, just saying. Moen, you can't throw TCU under the bus not performing after a natty run. Look at the Big Ten teams, Michigan and Washington from last year, complete embarrassment. Well, Michigan won last year. They won it all, as much as that pains me. But the year prior, you'll remember Ohio State secretly told TCU they were stealing signs in TCU.
That's right.
Game plan for it. So, just saying. UNLV is choosing what buffet they want to eat at. Yes. If you're in Las Vegas, you can never lose money on the buffet. Nate Simon says, anyone else getting excited for the Utah versus Iowa State game if both teams continue their current success?
Oh, gosh, that's a huge, huge game, Nate. Come out. Any Iowa State fans that want to come out, we'll tailgate. Hit me up.
All right, there you go. JIT. UTSA is merging with the UT Medical School in San Antonio. It will become a huge school. So you're saying that they want to be with the academic elites, not the Pac-2.
Rice.
Hidden Hawaiian says, I have no sympathy for Pac-12 wanting to destroy Mountain West. I probably that's coming from a Hawaiian point of view. I can totally see that.
Pac-12 is the victim, y'all. Don't you remember what happened here?
They were the victim. They were.
They were the double victim. They were the victim of the Big Ten, And they also were the victim of the Mountain West for egregious price dropping. $30 million for 6 games, Mullen, that is ridiculous. When it should just be $14 million. A fair wage to get 6 games. $30 million.
Hidden Hawaiian again says the new pack would 100% push the narrative. They're better than the Big 12 ACC. There you go. Ryan Willie, the evil badger here, said, you got a great point. Wow, didn't you say that you'd like to see Utah in the Big 10?
If Utah gets in the Big 10, great. But Utah's not in the Big 10, they're in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And so while Utah's in the Big 12, we're going to make this conference as good as it can be.
On here before we
Okay. I just had I figured out what was going on. My daughter was like watching 2 movies at once.
Utah State is officially a member of the Pac-12, according to Dennis Dodd report 1 minute ago. Well, if Dennis Dodd reported it, somebody else reported it before him. Utah can't beat Big 10 teams. Let's leave it on that note for the Big 12 Mafia. Utah can't beat Big 12 team or Big 10 teams.
Utah beats Michigan all the time. They've never lost to Michigan.
How many times have they played them?
2 or 3.
And there you go. Try and play them 100 times, and then you'll see how easy it is.
Utah beat the crap out of USC and UCLA.
Let me tell you how important it is. They fired John Cooper, who was their head coach from Ohio State, because he, 2-12-1 against Michigan, something like that?
We don't like to talk about that here.
Yeah.
There's one school that Utah can't beat in the Big 10, and that's Northwestern. I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't explain it. It is what it is. Kryptonite.
Ohio State, Penn State, Northwestern times 2. So there you go.
There you go.
Those are the ones you can't beat. I know you got to go, Ute, so we're going to wrap it up here on the Big 12 Mafia show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We had good viewer numbers all night, had great comments, great engagement. Again, if you haven't done so already, please like the stream. Leave a comment if you're watching on demand. We do respond to comments. Daniel Gygax, via participating here tonight, has confirmed that he will respond to comments. Whether he knew that or not, I'd like to thank Daniel for joining us tonight to help us carry some of the weight. Well, Nate is down and recuperating. I have not heard anything from Nate yet, but we will keep you guys informed. Our next show will be Friday for the Big Freaking Friday show. We will not be live tomorrow. I've got a head cold, and I just don't want to do a show tomorrow. So,
Rest up.
Yep. Well, do you have anything you want to say? What's your parting words? As Sergeant Pickles would say, you're one for the road.
Yeah, as the real victim here is the Pac-12, and it's undeniable right here. I mean, like the price gouging, the Big Ten stabbing, and everything. It's very clear. So just remember that. Don't let this narrative get spun a different way. We have a real victim here, the Pac-12. So give them what they want.
All right, Daniel, what's your one for the road?
John Fisher, just please sell the team. Collect your $1 billion. Just sell the team.
There you go. And I will say that there is only one true victim here, and it is people who've played against Michigan and had their signs stolen. So with that, I will see you on Friday night, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It was a great show. You've been a terrific audience. We will catch you on Friday. Peace out.
Go Utes.